except for China, they trying to convince other countries not to do business with the United States of America and support them for as long as we have this tariff war going on. So China themselves can't necessarily defeat the U.S. when it comes to the tariffs, but this is one of the reasons why the United States of America dropped tariffs against every other country while they negotiate. I'll bring y'all up to speed. Make sure y'all give a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, and make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat.
Well, breaking news this morning, China is warning other countries from making any trade deals with the United States, as countries like Japan and South Korea have begun negotiations with the Trump administration. China's Commerce Ministry releasing a statement saying, quote, China firmly opposes any party reaching a deal at the expense of China's interests. If this happens, China will never accept it, and it will resolutely take countermeasures in a reciprocal manner. China is determined and capable of safeguarding its own rights and interests. Joining me now is Heritage Foundation Senior Fellow for China Strategy, Fox News contributor, and author of The 100-Year Marathon, Michael Pillsbury. Michael, it's great to see you again. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you, Cheryl.
So, what do you make about this? Again, these are threats. This is language that is coming from the CCP, that they're going to find a way to circumvent the United States, make deals with others, strong-arm other countries.
Well, one of the big debates among American China experts over the last few years has been how strong are the hardliners around Xi Jinping. He's portrayed himself as a moderate and kind of a balancer with the pro-Mao kind of left-wingers on one side and then the hardliners on the other. When this kind of statement comes out, Cheryl, it's a sign to us that Xi Jinping is under pressure. He's got to say something anti-American. They already say a lot of anti-American things. That we're on the decline, that we're corrupt. There's even been a couple of Chinese books that we're going to fragment into pieces. It's kind of the equivalent of our idea of the collapse of China. They've got a theory of the collapse of America. So he's under pressure. There's some rumors coming out of Beijing that there's some sort of power struggle going on, that the sons of a couple of leaders who were reformers are now criticizing Xi Jinping on the one side, and then the other side is the hardliners could be much stronger than we thought. This is not good news for us. They did seem to soften, Cheryl, last week. They said, well, if Mr. Trump would just name a point man, one person to represent him, then they would start the talks. I somehow think that's not true. That's kind of the reformers trying to speak up. But Mr. Trump still has not named the point man who's going to be in charge of the talks. Last time, as you know, it was Bob Lighthizer at USTR, sometimes Treasury Secretary. But this is not looking like a smooth situation with the Chinese at all. It's looking the opposite. That it's I'm getting more pessimistic about the talks getting going.
Well,
So essentially, China is, instead of continuing to escalate the tariff war, because remember when that was happening? Remember when they said, listen, for everything the U.S. charges us, we're going to up it, and we're not scared of the United States of America. That's all cap. 100%. Guess what they did? They stopped raising tariffs. You know why? Because their economy is collapsing. I have been knee deep over the weekend tracking, looking at, going over to, and I even had to pull out my iPad to go and look at everything that is going on as far as what's being communicated internationally, both in other nations and in China. But China, they keep a tight lip. They try to run a tight ship. China is very, very, very controlling of the type of content that goes out from individual content creators and the news. Everything is controlled by the country. That's how you know everything is in trouble and in shambles. I don't believe anything that is coming out of China. Even when I see stuff that appears on social media from different content creators, I know that it is propaganda because China controls 100% everything that goes on as far as what's being leaked on news, propaganda. And if you speak against the Chinese government, guess what? You will go into an internment camp up in that joint. They don't play, and they absolutely, positively will take you through a reconditioning process as an individual. And they don't care if you're a billionaire or if you're just a smaller content creator. They will 100% have your neck. So you got to kind of use your context clues. You got to do the research. You got to look at the news that is coming out of other countries as far as how they're dealing with China. And what China first did was they stopped going back and forth with the U.S. as far as trying to raise tariffs. because it was a losing proposition. The second thing that's happening is their businesses are suffering. Even 2 to 3 weeks, 3 weeks, it ain't even been a full 3 weeks into this tariff war yet since April 2nd. Guess what? They are already suffering. You know why? Because the majority of people that placed orders, when you go over and you do business with China, for example, right? Let's say you order products. The first thing you don't do is, and any business owner that has ever ordered anything as far as from a business perspective from China, not you individuals that's ordering from Shein and Temu and Alibaba Express, forget all of that. The first thing that you know is that everything has to be ordered at least 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 months out of time. Minimum 2 to 3 months. Most of the time, if you really want a good deal, then you order it 6 months ahead of time, and you have to order in bulk. You cannot just place an order for a single individual or a 10 piece. No, you have to spend a significant amount of money and you order in bulk. You have to order a whole lot. So then what that does is it gives you the ability to actually be able to build up a customer base so that you can sell all of these products. Now, when you're ordering in bulk, that means that you're going to have a significant amount of tariffs, and you usually are spending anything from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40. It depends on what it is, the product that you're selling, but you're spending a lot of money. You're spending tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, to order these products, get a whole lot of fidget spinners. Remember when they had the fidget spinners and everybody was selling fidget spinners? You order tons of them. You're going to have 10,000 fidget spinners, and you got to move them all. You got to sell them on eBay. You got to sell them in person. You set your website. You get a TikTok shop, and you get somebody to get up there and sell it. Hey, guys, look at my new fidget spinner. So they order all of these huge products in bulk from these warehouses that then crank up all of the machines and all of the people, and they make all of these products, and then they ship it over to you guys. But now, first thing that happens, since it's such a huge window, is not only did these places started manufacturing these things, but people said, I'm canceling my order because I can't afford to get it here because these tariffs are preventing us from doing business with you. And so we got to find another supplier. Most suppliers, I actually made some phone calls over the weekend. Most suppliers from people that are buying products and selling them over here in the United States of America either are trying to find suppliers in the United States of America while at the same time still trying to pivot and do business with other countries. So now China is losing its position as the manufacturing base of the world, and people are trying to figure out where they can get more products from at a cheaper price because it's cheaper for you to manufacture it somewhere else, even if it's not as much as China, even if it's not as cheap as China, because of the tariffs that are now levied on the products that you're shipping over here. So Chinese businesses are basically canceling en masse. They're getting canceled orders, and people are unemployed, out of work, factories are shutting down, and the Chinese government does not want you to see this. The Chinese government does not want you to see this. And so now they have no leverage against the United States of America because they are the exporters of the world. The second phase of the tariff war wasn't just Trump tariffing other countries or tariffing China. It was to ratchet up the tariffs and then pull it down on everybody except for China so that, why? We can then leverage our relationship because we are the biggest consumers in the world. We are still the number one economy for buying things, which your degeneracy, I'm just going to be 100. Listen, I'm going to tell you what's really happening. Your degeneracy, the United States of America, they love to buy stuff. Finance, buy it, get it how you live. Your degeneracy has given us all the leverage in the world. You see how people are complaining, man, I can't believe this stuff is getting more expensive or whatever. You buying stuff you ain't even need anyway. But keep buying it. Why? Because your degeneracy is now giving us the leverage and the power to then do business and negotiate better trade deals with other countries. So now Trump has basically lowered the tariffs on everybody else and said, listen, if y'all want to keep doing business with us, then not only do we have to negotiate, and the reasons why the negotiations are so complicated, I'm not going to tell you how I know. I'm just going to tell you what the truth is. The reason why the negotiations are so complicated is because they're not negotiating import export as much as they are, because that's mathematics. That's easy. They're negotiating other relationships with other countries like China. Even tariff wars are proxy wars. What is a proxy war? A proxy war is a war against another country through somebody else. So if we wanted to, for example, during the Biden-Harris administration, go to war with Russia, but we didn't want to lose American soldiers or troops, then what do? We then empower Lil Tuk Tuk over there. Hey, man, go over there and deal with him. You know what? They invading on your space. We poke the bear, poke the bear, poke the bear. Then Russia say, you know what? I can't believe that this is even joining NATO. This is something that we wasn't supposed to do in the first place. Clash. So now we're fighting with resources, weapons, United States of America military weapons, more money. We were fighting a proxy war while at the same time enriching our friends, right? Enriching all of the people that's a part of the military industrial complex. So we're fighting a proxy war. We're fighting you through them. And it's the same thing with the tariff war. The negotiations are going to be complicated because every country has to weigh their international relations with other countries in order to still be doing business with America. Is it better to be doing business with us, or is it better to be doing business with them? Well, guess what? You export all of your products over here. You make a significant amount of your profitability comes from the United States of America. All they doing is exporting to your country to try to sell it to us. And so what do you want to do? You want a business relationship with us, or you want a business relationship with them? Mexico is at the worst position, the worst disadvantage ever. Why? Because Mexico doesn't necessarily make anything. Mexico allows itself, instead of building up its own economy, it allows itself to be exploited by other countries. Oh, listen, they wanted to get around Trump's tariffs. They wanted to get around the tariffs from the first administration. What did they do? Instead of shipping it directly from China into the United States of America, they set up business over in Mexico, and then they shipped it through Mexico. They assembled it there, and then they shipped it into the United States of America as a supply. If anybody wants to go and look at the Darth Anton, look at the one where I was talking about the Navigator. I showed you, and I said the same thing that I said on this platform. I showed you. You look at that window sticker, it'll tell you this percentage of parts are made in Mexico. This percentage of part made outside of the United States of America. They usually have U.S. and Canada. Then they say assembled in the United States of America. But this is the majority of the parts where it come from. 30% from here, 20% from here, 50% from there. And then we try to figure it out. Each vehicle, if you look at the side of each vehicle, it will tell you what has been manufactured where. And so what they did was, Mexico and countries like it, in order to try to get the little bit of money, instead of bolstering up and making Mexico great again, what did they do? They elected a liberal president and the woman. They continued to try to get money from other countries to build manufacturing facilities so that they can make it cheaper over there, because it's cheaper to ship it through Mexico than it is to actually ship it through China with the tariffs. And now that's how you continue to exploit the United States of America. Why do you think that Trump had to renegotiate the North American Free Trade Agreement? It's not as simple as these MSNBC and CNN and all of these platforms, because they know that people's attention span is this big. They know that people's attention span is this big. So they're not going to go through the process to connect the dots for you. They're not going to speak about it from a business perspective, because they have producers writing the segments for the anchors that come on the TV, and all they do is read from a teleprompter. They can't stop the video and break it down and say, okay, well, Trump had to renegotiate trade with China and Mexico because they were being leveraged against them in order to get past the tariffs when they put it in China on the first time, because we still have a disproportionate amount of our products being imported versus exporting, and they're still in our proprietary technology. Well, this is what happens when it came to the immigrant crisis. They tried to tie it in with Department of Homeland Security so that they can continue to give Taiwan money so that they wouldn't be annexed by China and taken over because of the semiconductor chip shortage. So Trump is literally playing 4D chess while you have these raging liberals not even realizing that he's working on your behalf to ensure that we still remain the number one power in the world, and you can feed your fat face But instead, you keep on complaining and not knowing exactly what's going on behind the scenes, not knowing that him leveraging or having these conversations with Canada is much deeper than just saying we want to put a tariff on you. It's also taking into consideration their relationship with other countries that allow for them to do business inside of the United States of America through Mexico, through Canada. It's deeper than you just looking at it on the surface and saying, oh, tariff, oh, it's going to cost us more. No, much deeper. Why do you think that China, in this video right here, it says it right there. You see, Fox Business, China warning foreign countries against making deals with the United States of America. Why would China care about other countries doing deals with the United States of America? Why do you think that is? China is depending on the world to take in its products. That's it. They are depending. Why do y'all think that China is building all of this infrastructure in these other countries as a favor to the other countries just because they nice people? No. They're doing favors so that they can continue to take in their products and destroy their own economy and destroy their own jobs. That's the whole notion behind Make America Great Again. The logic is we should not be dependent on other people, and we're more powerful than them, so we need to leverage our relationships as well as build up our own base so that we don't become dependent on other countries and we can continue to do the things that's best in our interests.
South Koreans are coming this week, so there's at least those discussions underway. And we know that the Japanese have been here. But one of the things that China is doing, and this is interesting, they're not returning two Boeing MAX airplanes to the U.S. Beijing ordered their airlines not to take any deliveries of Boeing aircraft in response to the tariffs. But these two planes were already at a field in China. CCP says send them back. And then in the auto sector, Ford is stopping shipments of some of its most popular cars to China because they want to avoid the reciprocal tariffs on U.S. goods. Now, the Trump administration is moving forward with plans to put fees on Chinese ships at our ports in an attempt at breaking China's dominance on global shipping, Michael. What do you make of these latest moves?
Well, it's an escalation, Cheryl. I think President Trump was kind of trying the sweet approach, referring to Xi Jinping many times, including during the campaign, as my friend Xi Jinping. But what President Trump has had to do in the last month is keep raising the tariffs. They just won't come to the table. This all happened again in the first term when it took a year to get the first round of talks starting. So I'm getting pessimistic. As long as we don't get a phone call from Xi Jinping or he doesn't stop these negative gestures toward us, it's just not looking good.
Interesting, Michael.
So I'll keep you guys up to date on the latest. Right now, China is trying to convince other countries to not do business with the United States of America. Make sure you guys hit a like with the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. And I'm going to keep you informed. I'm going to keep you up to date on what's happening in these streets so that when you go and talk to your little liberal friends and they say, oh my God, we're going to protest against the Trump administration, you'll be informed. I'm not telling you that you need to argue with them, but I'm telling you that it's less likely that you guys are easily swayed and indoctrinated when you have the leverage and the information to make an informed decision from yourself. Don't just listen to me. Don't just listen to me. Take what I say into consideration. Take what I say into consideration and make an informed decision for yourself. Look at the information from this side. Look at the information that you get from me. Look at the information from that side. Put it all together. And then that is now empowering you to make a better decision for yourself. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you the information so you can make a more informed decision for yourself. Don't let nobody indoctrinate you to believe something. Let them be a free thinker, but take everything into consideration, even if you don't necessarily like the person that's giving you the information.